help in an intergalactic battle.
This is our most desperate hour. Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're my only hope.
Or maybe it's something a little more mundane, maybe the humble robot vacuum that's headbutting your hallway right now, your hallway wall. Then we've got robots that can do real-life tasks these days. But you're about to meet a bloke who wants to design a brand new one, a robot to do a special job, a robot to be a companion to people with dementia, because there are around 500,000 people with dementia in Australia. And Matthew Green, who's completing a PhD at Griffith University, wants your help to make his robot.
We're hoping to actually design a robot from scratch and actually build a prototype. So that includes finding out what people want through asking them and then incorporating that into an actual design, building something that will actually create some sort of emotional impact on a person.
So why dementia? Why is that an area that could really use a bit of robotic help?
Just for the nature of dementia itself, if you want to calm someone down, you can give them a companion. That companion acts as a friend to that person, and it changes their focus on that instead of everything else that's not going on or going on in their mind. And that's where it's very powerful.
So doing the job that a real life dog might do, like a lap dog, for example, or a cat that might sit on your lap, is that the idea?
Yeah, so that's what it builds off. So there's research that shows that animal companions actually do work with people with dementia. There are problems with it, hygiene being one, predictability being another one. But if you've got a robot that's purely predictable and reacts the same way. So, for instance, if you pat it and it starts moving and making pleasant sounds, it has the same effect. And so that's what we're trying to replicate with the robot.
And I saw some examples of robots that exist in this space that look like stuffed toys. They look like a fluffy cat or a fluffy dog that has head movements and might open and close the mouth a little bit.
It does sound a bit patronising at first when you want to introduce a pet into that environment. But the trick is to make something personal to that person. So if you can have something that, as weird as it sounds, we're finding people want speech. So if you think, okay, a dog that can talk back to you, that doesn't really make sense. But it does. You've got to remember these are people, and people are people. They know what's going on. But if you can have a conversation, I mean, if you've got a dog, you probably talk to your dog. If they understand what you're saying, it's no stretch to put that sort of thing in a robot. So if you say to your robot dog, it's like, oh, I'm not feeling well today, and then it reacts in a way that can sort of, put its head on your leg and makes you feel comforted from that. That's the sort of thing that we're trying to figure out whether that can be done. But even talking back, with the nature of dementia, language is usually still a fine thing. It's inbuilt from birth, and it doesn't go away. The thing that does go away is higher functioning reasoning and things like that. If you can add in an emotional element, that's where the robots can be really powerful, because it's kind of like a back door. If you provide a positive response and a concentration on something else and creating positive moments in a person's life.
It is hard to wrap your head around, as you've acknowledged. Yeah. You said it sounds weird at first, and it sort of does, but I'm trying to, I'm thinking about all the things that people talk to that aren't sentient beings anyway. Some people talk to their plants, There was
Yeah.
that massive Tamagotchi craze where kids pretended they had these little robot pets and they had to feed them, and there was lots of positive feedback that came to the kids through doing that. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been such a big craze. There was, I guess, maybe throw in Sims there too, which is effectively like a computerized dollhouse writ large. But grown-ups were happy to play that. And I know that your research is really in industrial design, but do you have any insight into why humans choose to create relationships and interact with things that they know aren't receiving their interaction in the same level?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. You've got to remember, as humans, we're very social beings, but we also like humanizing things, and that includes machines. For instance, if you see a Japanese car, they've got sort of smiley faces on the front of their car. People name their cars. It's very natural for humans to actually build relationships with machines. So if you build something that's realistic or semi-realistic to an animal, it's even easier to make that leap and have a relationship with something as a machine.
One of the famous robots in this space wasn't actually a dog or a cat, but another animal altogether. Can you tell me about it?
Yeah, so there's Paracel. So Paracel, he started developing in the 90s. So Para is very, very advanced. The main, I guess, attribute of Para are his eyes. So he's got big eyes, and the eyes follow the person's face. So that seems to work quite well. And it also remembers if Jill, for instance, calls the Paracel a name, it will remember. So when Jill goes, "Oh, hi, Bob," Bob will move its head and look at Jill. So that's a very powerful tool. And then it's got sensors in it, touch sensors. So when you pat the Paro, it'll make pleasant sounds and move its head up and down, move its tail a bit. They're very popular. If you talk to someone who actually works in aged care, it's without a doubt one of the best tools for making people feel relaxed and calm. It just gives people a pleasant moment in their lives.
Those seals, are they used in Australia too?
Yes.
Because I was wondering if actually in Australia there would be a higher kind of mental hurdle to these ideas, given that we have such a high level of pet ownership. A live animal is very normalised in this country where it might not be so elsewhere.
Japan, for instance, they readily accept robots a lot easier. There's a lot less resistance from a family member. So if you go, "Oh, okay, I'm going to give your loved one a dog, but it's going to be robotic," there's a bit of pushback in Australia, but over in Japan, they just go, "Yes, of course." It wins people over. As soon as they see the improvement and the person they care for is actually enjoying themselves, that overcomes that hurdle. But it's overcoming that initial hurdle in Western society in general that is definitely a challenge, and that's part of the research itself, is to find how to overcome that.
So you actually want people's help today. Who can help you and how can they do that?
We're doing some surveys to find out what people want. If people can go to researchdementia.com and fill out a survey. So we're looking for formal carers, family carers, people with dementia, and also care centre managers. So these surveys have been designed and they look at every aspect of robotics for people with dementia, and it builds upon the knowledge we already have, and it helps people into the future. So it's just more information. We don't have a clue really in a lot of areas of how far we can push the boundaries and then where the line of, okay, this is not acceptable anymore. So it's finding out where that is and finding out what people actually want. Will people accept something like R2D2 or a mechanical robot, or does it have to be realistic? Can it be something on wheels that scoots around? A lot of that research is vague because the sample sizes are so small, often less than 15 people. So even though the research points to a certain area, okay, people want realistic and people want speech, there's not enough research to definitively say, okay, this is without a doubt what people want. Getting that information through COVID is extremely difficult. As you can imagine, the aged care homes have been shut. So doing this research over the internet has been very challenging.
So where do people go if they want to fill in the survey?
Researchdementia.com.
And Matthew, I know it's not about you, but if you were making a robot for yourself, like what do you think you would like?
I'd like a robot that I can talk to as well. As far as robots go, as far as speech interfaces go, we're not very advanced. You'd think robotics is a long way down the track. But in the social robotics phase, we're not. So it'd be great to have a robot that you can bounce ideas off and you know, oh, what do you think about this? Or, oh, you know, what do you think of this calculation? Where am I going wrong? If you can have natural conversations with a robot, I think that's going to be the game changer in the future.
I can just imagine. A game changer indeed. Matthew Green there, who's doing a PhD at Griffith University, hoping to be able to build a robot to assist people with dementia, just looking for that feedback from you about exactly what's required and what you would like. Great to be here with you today. Thank you so much for your company. If you're listening on your radio, you're about to go to